I've always been a little bit uncomfortable with the name of the practice, thinking, feeling, void, because it sounds, I don't know what it sounds like. I think people are like, what the heck does that mean? And what do you mean void? It seems a little scary or something. I haven't thought of another name for it. So if people come up with another name, let me know. It is definitely one of my favorite practices, and it has a tremendous amount to offer to our sense of safety, especially around those wild and rambunctious things, other human beings, because it really addresses the question that always comes up of, is it always safe to have an open heart? Are there some situations in which it's not a good idea to have an open heart? To which the answer is, it is always a great idea to have an open heart in the sense of a donut hole, an empty space filled with light. What the Chinese, what the Sufis, what various other traditions call the heart is not the achy, breaky Valentine heart. It's not the human heart, which the Chinese call the heart mediator or pericardium, the fleshly thing that can get filled with barbs and arrows. The heart is the empty space. The heart is the place in here that is not human. It's the light that is the same in a dog, that is the same in the person you're talking to at the IRS, whether they know it or not. The heart is an empty space. It is always a great idea to have that open because it is a receptor site for consciousness. And especially in situations that are dangerous or difficult, you probably want more receptor site for consciousness. You want more awareness. The more open the heart, not the achy breaky Valentine, not the heart mediator. The more open the heart, the more universal awareness can come in, and you can have some really fine hunches. Also, the more open the heart, the more room there is for light to come through, not just from behind us into this world, but from this world right on through. How much space, how much can move through? And it's very similar to what we say about healing, that we need a big enough washing machine to wash a really big load. Like if your heart's not very open, you can wash one sock at a time. If your heart is very large, there's some very, very large washings that can happen. But it's also true in terms of being able to allow awareness without being gored. Like, where would you rather be with an angry moose? In a tiny little elevator or in Alaska? How open is the heart? Is there room in the heart for a whole ruckus to pass on through? And we're aware of it. But is it small, in which case every hoof and elbow and prong is going to stick into something? And sometimes this is the nicest thing that we can do for our dear ones, is notice just from the way they put the groceries down that it's time to open our heart to them. Okay, it's one of those days. I don't think anything in the groceries is broken, but it's bruised a little bit. I don't want to be bruised. Love you from the big heart. Love you from the universal unconditional love, right? Because that love is unconditional. It can afford to be. My soft, squishy self, can't. It's a tenderness only zone. So out of love, out of kindness, what a mercy in relationships to just go, you can stomp and bang around all you want, my love. I've got a whole Alaska for you here. There you go. And I'm big and wide. And it's so easy. So being able to do this takes some training. The training is the thinking, feeling void exercise, which you can read about in the workbook. And I think there's even an audio connected with it. And that I'm going to be teaching a class on, and we're really going to be working with it. I practice the thinking, feeling void exercise with music that I don't like. When I'm on long car trips, I will do this, and it's very helpful. But you can do it also. It's very helpful to do it with the people in your life, maybe especially the irritating ones, maybe especially the ones you really love, maybe especially the ones that you tend to be in very human relationship with, rather than in the vast awareness of the heart. So let's pick someone, pick somebody, and think about them. And feel what it feels like to think, like, what are your thoughts about this person? You think they're very nice? You think they're horrible? Do you have any judgments? Got any diagnoses? Got any secret thoughts about them you don't have to tell? And just notice your mind, your opinions, your judgments, your thoughts, your stuff around this person. You can take as long as you like with that. But then the next step is going to be, and it usually helps, to put your hands on your body, feeling the emotional ocean in there, and noticing your feelings about this person. The music of this relationship, how this person, if this person were music like no other. How are you moved by this person? What do you find yourself feeling and experiencing and knowing about life that you might not know? Ways in which you're stirred in relationship to this person. And this is yours, your emotions, your feeling response, your stirredness, your stuff about them on the emotional level. And you could spend a lot of time there. And there's no need to disconnect from it. But we are going to start breathing open the whirlpool, breathing open the space right in the middle of that ocean. It can be vast and very, very strong. It can be so loving you'd never want to lose it, or it can be so irritating you can hardly stand it. It doesn't matter. There it is. And we're breathing open the heart space so that as we open it, we begin to make room right in the middle of all these thoughts and feelings. There's a space for us to just be aware of the person, holding them in what may start out as a small elevator of the heart, but that we can open. Breathing helps, breathing at each breath, because you can ask, am I really giving this person yet enough room just to show up? Just to show up. and find out by giving them a little more space and see what happens. If I open a little more and make more room for this person, maybe a vast, vast space, big enough for a Montana mountain range. And breathing again to feel for, and is even that enough to make room for a soul? Enough room for a soul? Just to be, to show up here in my awareness and just be. Not my thoughts about them, not my feelings about them. Just room for the person to show up. Yeah. This is an incredible gift to give to loved ones, even when they're in a good mood. Because it's a kind of freedom just to be. I know that my son, when he was little, he really liked my Yingy Ocean. And then as he became a teenager and is now a young man, he really appreciated having me open the space, not to be feeling things about him all the time, but to know him. Yeah. It's a profound gift in loving relationships. It may be an even more practical gift in not so loving relationships, so that we can come close to people who may in fact be hostile or toxic or throwing rage in our direction, and be unharmed. It allows us to stay very present and even get very close and be curious. You're very upset about this. What's going on that you would, light your flamethrower? I am unharmed. This goes right on through. But I really would like to hear more about what is this? Or being with people who are very, very toxic and who may need some very profound levels of healing. I know in the treatment room, sometimes people have some very difficult illnesses. And I need to be able to come close to these illnesses and know them, which means putting up shields is not very useful, because then I don't have the perception or the intimacy. This allows me to have the perception and the intimacy and the cleanliness at the same time. So I would like to do a review of this, because I think it often is taught in Whole Heart Connection intros towards the end, and people often have some fatigue at that point. And yet I think it's very, very important, very, very helpful. So I'd like to spend an afternoon just working with this and toning up the muscle and really helping people find it in themselves, so that we can share it with each other and share it with our world. Hope you join us.